You probably wonder why we rejected off of $28.30 on GameStop, and I kind of wondered the same exact thing. Today, people were questioning whether purchasing the warrants was a good idea or not. Today, warrants had more volume than GameStop stock itself, at least so far. I have a theory. Now, my theory is that we didn't reject off of this level because of this gap fill. In fact, we didn't even fill the gap on the daily time frame, yet we did fill it on the 4-hour or more micro time frames. I have a theory that I would like to call the ladder squeeze that was built by Ryan Cohen. And yes, there are major implications or complications, I should say, but I'm going to explain it as basic as possible. First, I'll bring in the drawings. GameStop is trading under $25. It's trading at $24.93. When we push below this level or around this level, this is basically keeping everything stagnant. What I mean by that is there is not a lot of scrambling going on. The volume's kind of low. And the main key point of this level is that shorts are comfortable. They are temporarily comfortable. And that's not only regular shorts, that's shorts who delta hedged who also own bonds. Now, as many of you know, $28.91 is the first conversion price for the convertible bonds that GameStop has issued. So this is the first level that you would ultimately watch. Why is this so important? As we near that level, the shorts or the delta hedging continues to increase. In fact, not necessarily only the shorts who own the bonds, but shorts in general. Why is that the case? Well, if you have a battle between two short parties, they're kind of on the same team, except one of them has a way out. When we get above 28.91, the shorts who were only delta hedging will cover their shorts because there's no reason to hedge downside when you're already bleeding cash. If that is complicated, it basically means one short seller doesn't want the price to cross $28.91. One short seller necessarily doesn't want or not want the price to cross $28.91. Therefore, the shorting increases as we near that level. It is the same exact thing when we almost hit $38.81, which is the last conversion price for the other convertible bonds, and we came all the way up to $37.50. After $37.50, we crashed for quite some time. Is the same thing happening at this $28.91 level? Possibly, but I want to talk about it. So right now at this level, shorts are comfortable. When we near that level, there is a hedge battle. However, when you get between $28.91 and $29.85, this is where things get interesting because convertible issuers are now in the money. In other words, the convertible bondholders can convert to cash or convert to shares, which would create a chain reaction. It's kind of complicated, kind of interesting the way this was set up. Put in short, if we get above 28.91 and confirmation 29.85, so this zone right here in the chart, we would likely very quickly break past the warrant price. Now it gets even better from this because you're going to break past that price only with the hedging and forced short covering we're having. That is technically excluding market makers, excluding gamma ramps, excluding delta hedging from market makers. So you violently rip past the warrant conversion price. Then you likely, in my opinion, violently rip past 25. And between 25 and 37 is another level where there is going to be a battle, just like we see between 28.91 and 29.85. Now, as you get closer to 38.81, the hedging pressure will be more solid, and we saw that back here. Okay, we saw that back here. The same thing would happen when you get up here. The only difference is we have a chain reaction that is built and another dynamic, which is the warrants. The final conversion, which is at 38.81, Once you get over this, and this is where it gets even more fun, right? Even if we didn't get over, well, once you get over this, okay, once you get over 38.81, who's to say we will? GameStop, any warrant holders who exercise their warrants or technically sell their warrants, but we'll say exercise their warrants, best case, GameStop raises a lot of cash. It opens up the float. If people begin to sell the warrants that they exercised, which technically dilutes the stock, but it dilutes the stock and pays back, technically almost pays back the initial bondholders at 28.91 if they were to convert. It is so complicated, but yet so basic that if at any point we break above $30, you're likely to enter a short squeeze. Now, $25 is dormant. Shorts are comfy. Hedge funds are static, or hedges are static. 28.91, that level where 2032 convertible bonds convert. They hit parity. The first hedging unwind begins. 29.85, where the 2030 converts in the money, more covering, so on and so on and so on. $32. Warrants are in the money. Retail leverage plus treasury inflow ready. They also have all of their money in Bitcoin. That's just a completely separate thing. 9 billion in cash, completely separate thing. Yet the stock is only trading at $25, and at some point it will likely break $30. And when that happens, I think personally it's game over. So the question where people are saying, should you buy warrants, in my humble opinion, is it is more likely a good idea than a bad idea, in my opinion. Not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. The only possible downside, you might ask other sectors, well, there's no downside based on what you said. The only possible downside is us, which is unlikely again, since the convertible bonds have a different expiration all the way out to 2030 and 2032, and the warrants have an expiration of 2026, if we don't get above 28.91 or 29.85, or just to be conservative, $30 by next year, which is so unlikely in my opinion, then yeah, it was a bad idea to grab the lotto tickets in the warrants. Guys, given alongside the warrants, there's a very similar call option you can buy, and it's basically a $32 call in leap form. So as far out as you can get, or not as far out, but pretty far out. Very similar if you don't want to risk jumping into the warrants. But then at that point, there's a lot of complications, whether you want to help the company, yada, yada, yada. That's for a whole nother video. But ultimately, you get past these levels, you have a squeeze, a lot of your stocks, what's next? What's next is that, yes, GameStop will be diluted, but they will have raised so much cash and capital that the company's floor price would likely not sit in this ugly segment anymore. They will have so much cash that the new segment will probably be $34 or whatever it is, depending on when the dilution occurs, when conversion occurs, how much cash they raise, what happens with their investments, what do they do going forward, right? Now, shout out Reese Politics over on X. He said, I stumbled upon something incredibly interesting. The ETF BLOK contains GameStop and its warrants, but that's not the interesting part. The day after GameStop's excellent Q2 results, BLOK ETF experienced its highest fail to delivers in history to the tune of 1,081,000 shares, or $68 million. I cannot state enough that these ETFs are incredibly suspicious, and the timing of their fails is either one gigantic coincidence or something else. Figured I would throw that in there since we are talking about the warrants. GameStop also has their own warrant exercise website on Computershare. Why is this important enough to bring in the video? Well, it's important enough because GameStop is very, very clearly watching the amount of warrants issued, possibly exercised, like trading hands, and verified as close as they can. That means I don't know if it's going to correlate with Project Genesis, but they are watching very, very closely, closer than AMC did on APE, to see if they will get proof that the float, something is wrong, something is going on. So we're going to keep that in the back of our head as well. GameStop, from a technical standpoint, we talked about these levels GameStop has been bouncing off since 2020. early to mid 2020, and we are right at this zone. In my opinion, this is probably one of the best times, just from technical perspective, to be adding to the play. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but I like where it's at. It's getting a bounce right on this line. Right? It's also bouncing off of key moving averages on the daily, and on the weekly, it is still in its macro golden cross era where we should begin or continue to scale higher. And I believe at some point we should test the top of this wedge and or higher than that. From another technical perspective, a cycle perspective, you have these steps 1, 2, and 3 after these cycle periods hit each and every time, and we have not delayed from the cycle yet. We have 1 here, 2 here on the weekly, it would be separate, and then 3. Same thing, 1, 2, 3. Same setup that we are in. If you wanted to see this in more detail, the past couple videos, I probably covered it in there somewhere as well. AMC. AMC just announced to issue up to 20. Actually, they announced to issue up to 178 million more shares. That is wrong, actually. These are old prospectuses. AMC announced dilution. I actually want to know the actual share value. I want to know the actual amount of shares that they announce, because I know that it's incorrect. Let me see here. Where's the news? Sorry, guys, I'm doing this on the fly. Okay, I can't find it. That's not the point. Anyway, AMC did the same thing in November 2nd of 2020 and then December 11th of 2020. And guys, please listen. Don't take pieces of what I say and try and match what annoys you or what fits your opinion or whatever it is. As much as I want to vote no on the stupid share dilution, I'm at the point where AMC is... Listen, and this isn't an opinion, it's just factual. I'm at the point where AMC's management is not as good as GameStop's management. Unfortunately, that if that pisses you off, that is just the case. As much as I want to vote no on the share dilution, it's not even that I want to help the company or, they need it. I genuinely don't care. So I'm at the point, and you can convince me otherwise, I'm completely open-minded, but I'm at the point where the stock is so dead, it's trading so low, it's been flat trading so low, the algorithm is pinned, that any catalyst, possibly bad or good, I am willing to test. I am willing to test. Back in 2020, the November and December exact time frames that there was dilution occurred, correlated to the chart, maybe. Shortly after, we had a squeeze. AMC is also trading in a very similar pattern to this. We also had dilution, I believe, in May into the major run-up. So is that utterly sucks? Dilution doesn't cause run-ups. And you're probably right. But I am willing to try any possible catalyst to see what happens. And you might say, well, that just dilutes the shareholders. I understand it's dead, but you don't care. I don't care. I want to see something happen with AMC. That is it. That's all I want to see. So as much, and again, this isn't a dead set answer, as much as I want to vote no, right now, kind of leaning yes. That is what I will put out there. I would love to hear your opinions. This isn't something to argue with each other on. It's just a friendly, open thought process to see what happens next. I also want to give you a couple stocks for you to watch. But before I do that, I'm going to ask very simply to join my Discord server. I just smacked my mic. Hopefully it's still working. I ask you very simply to join my Discord server. It's the top link in the description where we talk stocks and crypto. Best vibes, best people. There are no bad questions. It's time to join, guys. Take your trading seriously and join the family. Seriously, there are tons of benefits in there. It's the top link in the description of the video. GNS is a stock I want you to put your eye back onto because we consolidated for a while and there's possibly some legal news coming out pretty soon. I speculate, and a lot of people speculate, that GNS is naked shorted, but again, pure speculation. Neon, Neon. Somebody asked to basically take a look at it in Discord. I didn't take a huge look at it. It's trading at $3.80. We can see that it recently ran quite a bit. In fact, from its lows in August all the way up to $30, it ran over 1,000%. This is definitely one to put on the squeeze radar. It has a 10% short interest, and I am going to keep a side eye on it. So GNS, NEON, bringing up in the video. Now, last but not least, we're going to cover a couple things. Nvidia to take up to $2 billion equity stake in Elon Musk's XAI. And then electricity is possibly coming next. Yesterday, President Trump said the United States electricity grid is old and tired. The Trump administration recently bought equity stakes in Intel and metals companies, but is the administration now going to invest in electricity related companies? Let me know in the comments down below if you are going to try and front run some sort of news in some electricity companies. Now, Reddit RDDT is at 197.70 at the 786 on the fib. This is a very sloppy drawing. I just popped over to the chart, threw up a fib, and we can see that Reddit is continuing to break down with increased volume. I believe the conservative entry point that isn't too enticing is 198.50, which is where we're at. I would prefer a breakdown to 173 to 155 before entering Reddit for my first nibble on the play somewhere in this region. I'm going to keep this on the radar. MicroStrategy, I want to talk about very briefly. It got rejected at its moving average, and it's at a dangerous point because if Bitcoin really doesn't outperform over the next couple of weeks, MicroStrategy could be on this edge where we broke below the 200, couldn't reclaim it, and began selling off back here. It's also in a very similar setup. We came up, we had this chop trading, broke, and it's in almost an identical setup right now, and it's rejecting. So just be very careful if you're in MicroStrategy for a longer term play. Overall, guys, that is what I got for you for today's video. Again, the top links in the description and pinned in the comments are for my Discord server, where we have tons of AI alerts in there. I post my trades. As soon as I take them, I post trade setups. We talk stocks and crypto in there. And then my pattern detection indicator is also the link right under the Discord link. So subscribe, turn post notifications on. All that's free. The Discord will likely pay for itself within a day or two, or a week at most, right? But that is it. I love you all. God bless. Lottery Stocks out.